Okay, welcome to round two. We had to just change the venue quickly. Gonna see if there's water in there. Right, so now we're continuing with plants as weeds. And most of our gardens have most of these weeds. So I just took weeds that you find in almost every garden or along your sidewalks or in the road or whatever. But these are there's a lot more weeds, but these are the most prevalent in most gardens. Another day I'll do another thing on other weeds, but that would be more from a medicinal perspective. So, okay, yes, I took a video, so I'll put the video on the group as well. So, like I said, we want to educate you around sustainability, not just gardening. So, sustainability would be medicine and food, culinary, what you can use, what you are growing for, what you can use, what you can identify around you. Because there are some grasses that are also edible. So a lot of these things around you, you think is either just weeds or it's pointless or it's just, it's not helping your garden or whatever. But a lot of these things you actually can use as medicine, and you actually can eat most of the stuff that is around you. So we shouldn't be in a state of food insecurity, because we have a lot of things. Vegetables are not the only thing that we can eat. There's lots of other foods and lots of other plants that you can eat. For example, that speckworm over there. Most people know it. You can eat it, but most people know it for it creates a lot of oxygen in the environment, right? So it uses all your carbon dioxide, converts it into oxygen. But did you know, if you are extremely thirsty or in a very arid desert area and you have nothing around you to drink, just one of those leaves can rehydrate you because of the nutrient and the moisture content trapped in those leaves. So it is very healthy to rehydrate you. If you are thirsty, if you need some form of water, eat a leaf of a speckworm. It also has medicinal value. You can also make chutneys, pestos, salads, all those things you can use it for. So, but okay, that's for another day. We'll go into that. I was just explaining that sustainability is not what most people think it is. It is a holistic concept. It is permaculture. It is using everything around you to create a sustainable environment. Okay, so the next thing is called oxalis, which we call syrups. So most people, like when you were children, you used to eat the syrups and you used to think it's sour because the dogs peed on it, but actually, actually this thing is so amazing. It's so rich in vitamin C that it can actually be used for scurvy or the shingles. Okay, so it's a good healer for topical problems, but it also helps with stomach issues. So that sour tart taste is actually what helps the stomach. So it can help with stomach issues, and it's got a lot of medicinal value. But I'm talking about as a weed today. So you find a lot of these around. Some people think it's clovers, but a clover, as the leaf shape is slightly different, even though it looks very similar, the leaf shape is slightly different. So anyway, this is now wilted from the heat, but oxalis is a syrup. It's extremely nutritious, so you can really incorporate it into salads, foods. You can saute it, you can make breadies, it gives like a... Yes, the flowers you can use for cocktails. The flowers are also very nutritious. It's very edible. The whole plant is edible. So, as a weed, what it does is, the scientific name is called wood sorrel. So, as a weed, It is a ground cover, so you see they grow in groups. So a lot of them grow all over the place. So they help with soil erosion. They help with soil aeration because it also has a taproot type of system, but it branches out underneath. So it also helps alleviate the soil erosion, and it helps with aeration. So it gets the air into the rest of the soil at the bottom, so that the microbes can breathe. It is also organic matter, so you can use it as fertilizer. You can just throw it there, it will decompose and nutrify the soil. It has nutrient cycling as well, which means that it pulls the nutrients from the bottom to the top and it feeds the rest of the plants. And it is a pest deterrent, believe it or not. So it wards off a lot of those insects that that red and that black one that eats the foods a lot, and some of the other insects. When you see, and it brings beneficial pests like ladybugs. So it attracts ladybugs and it repels those other insects. So it's actually very good to have it up. The next is dandelions. So I'm sure everybody knows dandelions. And dandelions is often confused with sow thistle, right? Because they look very similar. The flowers are very, like right now it doesn't look similar because I didn't have the whole dandelion plant. But normally if you like just looking, sometimes it's very easy to confuse because of the yellow plant. But the plant itself, you have to look very closely to see the differences. Okay, this is more of a like a disc shape. So it comes out but the bottom is flat, whereas this is more like a conical type of shape. So it looks like that and this looks like that. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. They both have okay, I'll speak about that later. This is very good for liver problems. You can use the whole of the plant. The flowers you can make medicine with. Well, the whole plant you can make medicine with. The flowers you can use in salads and so forth. The roots, it also has a long taproot, but the roots you can actually dry and ground and use as a coffee alternative. Dandelion coffee is very expensive in shops. So if you want to just use this part to decompose or as fertilizer or medicine or food, the roots you can always stack up and make coffee from. Coffee. But like a coffee alternative. There's no caffeine in, but it has a coffee taste. It's very, very nice. Okay, so this also has a deep taproot. So again, it breaks up compacted soil. Nutrient cycling brings, so as it's breaking up the soil, it brings the nutrients to the top. It stabilizes the soil also, so that there's not a lot of, because the ecosystem also can't handle too much of moving and shaking and all of that stuff. That's why tilling is not that good to do for your garden. So it stabilizes the soil, it stabilizes the microbes in the soil, and it creates a very good ecosystem within the soil itself. So it's very important for that. And then it has microbial activity, which means that it boosts and sort of feeds the microbes in the soil as well. So this is one of the plants that really help feed those other things in the soil, not just give it nutrients and stuff. It feeds the animals and organisms in the soil, and it creates a really good ecosystem and balance within the soil. So sow thistle, it's very similar to dandelion. Can also be used for the liver. It also can be used for wound healing. You can also eat the leaves, the flowers. But this plant attracts aphids. So you always find a lot of aphids on it. So that's a good thing because it's a pest deterrent in that it draws the aphid, like marigolds, it draws the aphids to it instead of the plant itself. It unfortunately does also draw the mold. You know that moldy Yes, that it draws that to the plant also away from the other plant, so that is also a good thing. Also has a deep taproot, also has nutrient fixing. It also stabilizes the soil like dandelions, and it also has microbial activity. So it's very similar. They have the same function with dandelions, except that it also attracts the pests. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is plantain. So this is a very, very good medicinal herb, especially, and there's a lot I see around here, especially the leaves. You get different types. You get your thin leaf, and then you get your broad leaf. The leaves are very wound healing. So whatever scars, cuts, stings, bites, you can use the plantain leaf for that. Now on top here, you'll see these little things. It's like grains, and the bigger this is, the more grains it has. This can also be eaten. You can use it for flour. So if you dry it out, you can grind it into flour. So this is also edible. And then it gives the soil aeration, nutrient cycling, organic matter, so you can use it as a fertilizer. It stabilizes the soil as well, and it also promotes microbial activity. So these are the plants that are weeds that are the most basic in most gardens. Almost everybody will have these growing. Now I want to talk about the grains that you find everywhere. What do you think this is? So this is actually wild oats. Wild oats. And this grows, as you can see, this really grows everywhere on open fields. Most people think it's a pest because it grows so much and it grows everywhere, and then you have to pull it out and it grows so high. But actually it's wild oats and you can eat it. So if you take one of these things, you'll see that it has this protective sheet over it, and you have to open it. It's a bit difficult to open. There's a method to, it's called winnowing, where you take the outside and the husk part off. Anyway, so when you open it, I'm struggling to open it. Anyway, so when, I don't know if you can see this little thing on my finger, but this is the seed basically, or the grain. So this you dry out, and this you can eat it just like this, as is. It tastes just like grain. So this you dry out, and you can roll it out in a pestle, mortar, whatever, and you can make flour from it. And you can make bread and replace it with your normal flour if you don't have. This is what you can use. This is wild oats. There's all the nutrients that normal oats has, except that normal oats is normally genetically modified, whereas this is not. So this technically is healthier, more nutritious for you, good for diabetics. Oats is known to maybe actually be able to reverse diabetes, but it needs to be a certain type of oats. It mustn't be genetically modified, which most oats are, and it must be steel cut rolled oats. Those are the ones that can help with diabetes. The genetically modified will just make your diabetes worse. So you have to be very careful with what it is that you are actually eating. Okay, now for the ground, it creates soil structure improvement. It helps with water filtration and also compact breaking up of the soil. It also helps with soil erosion control. That's why on open spaces where there's nothing growing, you'll see these grow a lot. And that is nature's way of sort of um, saving the soil and the nutritional value of the soil. Okay, and then it also helps with nutrient cycling, and it helps with other weed suppression. So the bad weeds that, for example, are allelopathic, that creates that or sets off that poison into the soil. Those types of weeds, it prevents those from growing. So the negative weeds, it keeps them away. Then the next one is wild barley or wild rye. This is how it looks. So you also, it normally has a tuft of grass around it. I don't see here, but it has like a little bushy type of thing, and then these grow out of it like that. Like a whole lot grow all in clumps. They don't grow like these, they grow in clumps. And they can grow quite long. So this is the wild version, and again it also has these so as you can see, it has like two sections that look like this, and then it's got many layers of that, as you can see. So that's one side and that's the other side. So these things, and then there's like a prickly thing, so it always sticks on clothes, and whenever you're walking it can hurt you also sometimes. But this is actually wild rye. And this you can also, once you winnow it, you open it up and you find the actual seed in there. So chuku. I think a lot of them fell out, man, in the packet as it was shaking. I winnowed it. Because just yesterday I was opening some just to check that, you know, the seeds are in there, and the seeds were in there. Anyway, so you open them up, you take the outer layer off, and the seed is in the middle. So this thing protects the seeds. So once you take the seed or the grains out, you can then just dry it and then make flour from it, or you can pop it like popcorn, or you can make couscous, however you want to use it. That is, sorry, no, this you don't make couscous from, this you can make couscous from, okay, because of the type of grain in it. So this you will use to make flour. Okay, so if you need flour, there's now two different types of flour that you can use. It's also very nutritious, as you know. Barley is very good. And it also improves the soil structure, nutrient cycling, organic matter. So if you just leave it there, it does decompose and give the soil nutrients and so forth. It also helps with soil erosion, and it is a biodiversity improver. So it basically attracts the proper insects, and it creates that balance between the good and the bad. So remember, I said your gut biome has good microbes, bad microbes. So that is what this does. It balances the good and the bad insects, the good and the bad microbes. So it's actually very good for your garden if you have it near your garden. If you see it somewhere, maybe try and gently take it out and plant it on the edges of your garden. Any of these, plant it on the edges of your garden, or near to your garden, because it will really help. As we've now mentioned, we've gone through all the ways that it does improve the soil, but also it can be food for you. Okay, and then the last one, this is called crabgrass. This also grows everywhere like crazy, right? So on here, these are also grains that you can use. So the grains, you take it off. I don't know if you can see these little grains. This is a small one, but they grow very big actually. So the grains, the grains doesn't have, it's not as nutritious as all the others, but you can use it as flour, you can pop it as popcorn, you can make couscous from this also. So the type of grain, you will see what you can use it for. If it's got round types of grains like this, And this, you can then make couscous types of things, and you can pop it like popcorn. But if it's got the oval shape, like these two, then you know that is mainly for flour purposes that you would use it for. And then also crabgrass prevents soil erosion, improves the soil structure as well. It is organic matter, and it basically fills out empty spots to also protect the soil. So these are basically what you will find in your everyday garden. No matter where you are in Cape Town, these you will find. You'll find it in fields, you'll find it in walkways, you'll find it everywhere. Wherever there's open soil, these normally grow. Remember, it's a good thing. It really impacts the soil in a positive way. So try not to pull it out. Try to create a permaculture environment, because the one thing is good for the other thing. Okay, so they do play a role in the soil in your garden. It's positive roles. You can try to minimize it, obviously, and maybe just try to move it to the barriers or the outer areas of your garden, or like along your or just a specific area, just so that it can at least impact the soil somehow, or or help with the microbes, or help with the insects, whatever. But it is very important that you understand the importance of weeds. Weeds are not bad. Most of them, yeah. So next time you look at a weed, think of it as food. Think of it as improving your soil vitality. Think of it as boosting your garden. And if you want to take it out of your garden, then use it as fertilizer. Throw it into a bucket with water. Use it as fertilizer. So these weeds can only be good for you. And if you ever do get to a point where you need food, this is there. So people who have no money don't have to say we can't eat. If we just look around us, there's such a lot of food that we have just growing wild. That's why knowledge is power. If we knew these things about these different types of weeds and plants and things that actually is nutritious for our body, that actually has positive benefits for the soil, that actually can be used as medicine and food. We have a whole treasure chest around us that we don't realize, and we need to start tapping into it, trying it out. We'll call it exotic food, because that's basically what it is. It's something out of the norm, but it is very healthy for you. So try to eat from your garden, not just the vegetables, but the other things as well. Try and make a salad or saute or something. Try to start incorporating it, because these are very nutritious for your body, extremely nutritious, and it will help cut down on your food bill as well. So any questions? That's what I have for today.
I just want to ask something about the butterfly.
Okay.